Hello subscribers and non-subscribers, and welcome back to Let's Play Stellaris MegaCorp. So, one thing I want to go mention real quick, I have added a couple of extra mods. They're all purely graphics mods. One is called Realistic Stars, and then it has like a sister mod essentially called Realistic Colors. I've also added, I think it's called Alternative Lasers or something to that effect. And so yeah, I'll have a link in the description down to a Google Doc that'll have a link to all the mods I'm using. I'll go ahead and start my timer for 40 minutes. And let's go ahead and get started. Now I am hoping that the AI in this campaign will be better than the AI in my test game. In my test game, a lot of the AI, with a couple of exceptions, never updated their ships to better weapons. They were still running around with crappy tier 1 everything. Some of them did manage to get upgraded to tier 2 shields in some spots, but generally speaking they were still running around with tier 1 weapons and defenses and etc.
Construction complete.
And that was like 130 years into the game, so that was a little sad really. I'm not running on the beta build. In fact, I'm actually technically still running on the press build, which I don't know if that actually gets updated. I don't think it does. I probably should switch to the live version after this recording session, but oh well, whatever. But yeah, so the beta build, they have changed some things. They've increased the alloy production from foundries from 2 to 3, if I recall correctly, is what it was. Yeah, so if I was running on the beta patch, this would be producing 6 plus bonuses.
Anomalous readings detected.
Sure, go ahead and check that out. And they did some stuff for build prioritization for the AI, so hopefully that'll help sort out in my test game where the AI basically just never updated its crap, and so it was running around with absolute crap gear to me. I mean, I had like the best weapons in the game pretty much across the board except for kinetics and missiles because I hadn't bothered really upgrading those. But nonetheless, yes, I will try and explain some mechanics as we play, but it's just one of those, it's easier for me to explain mechanics when I have an example of it right in front of me. I guess I can sort of explain trade routes. Systems, well, planets rather, some systems, however, also have planets on them that just inherently produce trade value. For example, here we have an asteroid. It, for whatever reason, produces 2 trade value. If I have a star base that's upgraded up to at least a starport, and I build a trade hub, it will be able to collect that trade value and send it to the capital or to another at least starport level station that will then be able to then send it further along, depending upon how exactly you decide to set up your trade routes. So each trade hub increases collection range. In this case, upgrading to a starport allows you to collect within that system itself inherently. Building one trade hub allows you to collect 1 hyperlane jump out. So in this case here at Ardensil, we'll only need a single trade hub to collect here, and then it can send it along to our capital. Depending upon exactly what you have your trade policy set to, will decide what trade value will be used for. In this case, we have it selected for wealth creation, which is the default. So each trade value earns 1 energy credit. So our current overall trade value is 20, so in theory we're getting basically 20 energy credits worth of, 20 energy credits worth of energy as a result of having a trade value of 20.5. In fact, if we actually look up there, the game says we're producing 20.52 as a result of trade. And this apparently only rounds to 1 decimal space. Of course, the game doesn't round to 1 decimal space elsewhere in the menu. I kind of would love it if Paradox would sit down and make the UI a little bit more consistent with this, because there are plenty of areas where the game rounds to 2 decimal places, other areas where it only rounds to 1. Like Why would you do that? Be consistent. You either do it 1 across the board or you do it 2 across the board. We don't currently have any piracy to really talk about, but trade value as it increases results in piracy. So in this case we have a base trade protection. I think everybody always has this no matter what kind of empire you're playing as, of trade protection of 2. So as the tooltip there indicates, it guarantees that at least 2 trade value will be protected from piracy going through this system. Of course, more trade value results in more piracy. In fact, actually, if you get your trade value really high up, you will need to upgrade these stations all the way potentially to citadels and just fill them with defensive structures. And defensive structures combat piracy. Each one gives 1 protection range, and they give trade protection. It's only 5 for these. Hangar bays give 10. And stations themselves have inherent trade protection, but they don't have any range on them inherently. We'll do that, sure. I mean, it's a little late, but whatever. We do have these guys. Hopefully they'll talk to us. So what's this? Unknown contact. What are we talking about? Ah, you. Okay. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. Crew has returned from the research station visibly shaken. They provide vague, often conflicting reports of what they encountered on Akmal 3. Though in one matter they are all united, the still-flowing sea that wraps pole to pole around the planet is somehow alive. Though it bears no organs or corporeality, I guess. I don't know how to pronounce that word. I've never seen it before. We can identify the planetary ocean seems to communicate with frequencies that affect the brain activity of the recipient. It is able to induce thoughts, images, emotions, and what is more, affects each individual differently. It is entirely unknown what effects prolonged contact with the sea might have, or how safe an endeavor it would be. Science Officer Korikia Konki requests that a planetary decision to study this strange sea be enacted on Akmal 3. We will consider it. I've never had this event before. Sounds like fun. Oh, okay, I guess I have to click on it, go to decisions, but presumably it needs to be within my space for me to do that. Wow. Yeah, we're taking that world. Holy crap, that's giving us a plus 25% habitability, which more than makes up for our inherent, we're not particularly great on ocean worlds. Let's go for colonization fervor. We know these are a regular empire, just for the simple fact they're using the mammalian.
Construction finalized.
Ship set, but they haven't researched us yet, or their tech is so bad that it's taken them forever to research us. I'm not quite sure which it is. There we go, now we're making 26.
Our research has progressed.
Pop growth. Let's go for... I kind of want to go for farming subsidies. I'll be completely honest. We're not making that much food. But off-world allows us to get more trade value from trade hubs. Which, of course, I can then use the extra money to buy food. If need be. In fact, yeah. Food costs less than what we would get from building off-world trade companies. Admittedly, it's a little bit weird, the idea of the space USSR building off-world trade companies. One, because it's a trade company.
Anomalous readings detected.
And the thing that comes to mind is like the Dutch East Indies Trade Company and things like that, rather than something like the space USSR would do. But whatever. Moving on. Did I set you guys up with more stuff? No, I do have you capped out at 3-3. I probably should build just a little bit more, mostly because we're going to end up with piracy in the relatively near future. Let's get you guys up to 5-5, actually. That should be good enough. You do gain a bonus to pop growth, if I recall correctly, from free jobs. So, well, you gain migration,
System resources
which
analyzed.
has an effect on pop growth when you have multiple planets or a migration treaty. We have neither right now, so we're not actually gaining any pop growth from migration. All factory slay, that's an old event. It'll take you 30 days to do it, just go do it. We're not going to research
Together
them.
we will build a brighter future.
There we go, extra stuff. Let's go ahead and get automated exploration. Yeah, let's get automated exploration protocols because of the bonus to survey speed. But yeah, so generally you want to try and stay a little bit if you want a planet to grow, you generally want to stay a little bit ahead at least for jobs, just so you get the migration.
Concluded.
Wonderful. If you want to read this, again, it's an old event. I don't really care to read it because it's an old event that I've seen basically in every single game that I've played of Stellaris. So if you want to read it, feel free to pause, but I'm not going to read this one. I just can't be bothered to read something that I've read half a dozen times or more. Probably more. Let's go ahead and build another farm here on Earth. There we go. We've received a transmission from the Emdirian Unity. They appear to have successfully translated our language. Diplomatic channels are now open and all hostilities between us have ceased for the moment. They are a hive mind. Of course, the first people I met in my test game that were an actual empire were also a hive mind, but of course it's not these guys. It was a completely different map. Although we're not too far off from where I was stationed on that map. Either way, we are the Emdirian Unity, and we speak as one. The hive mind has taken note of your presence. We will observe for now. Our future actions will depend upon whether you are a threat, an opportunity for expansion, or an unforeseen variable. We will not be held back, Emdirians. First alien encounter. The news that we have encountered intelligent alien life for the first time has been received with mixed feelings by our populace. This confirms what we had long suspected. We are not alone in this galaxy. Each new alien species we encounter represents both an opportunity and a threat. We must be wary. These particular Xenos have a level of technology similar to our own, indicating that we achieved spaceflight at roughly the same time. This changes everything. This changes nothing. These guys are inferior in fleet power. Holy crap. If I was able to punch through their stations, in theory I could actually go and take them over right now. However, it should be noted, taking over a hive mind is not the best idea ever, for the simple fact that they're undesirables and we'd have to deal with unrest and moving pops to those planets, and it's just a general pain in the ass, really. I try to avoid taking over hive minds unless there's some other benefit to doing so, because again, it's work. A new faction has recently been gaining traction in the internal political landscape of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, led by scientist Korkia Konki, who's busy down here somehow manages to form and lead a faction. They call themselves the Order of the Burning Star. It's definitely the military faction, obviously. Their members have been pushing for us to assert our military dominance over the rest of the galaxy. Our disgruntled faction, will be a source of trouble, but one that approves of the government's actions could prove useful. So that's an extra free influence. I was about to say unity, I don't know why. They don't currently have a lot of issues that they need to bring up. It's just aggressive diplomacy. They want me to engage in warfare and conquest. So aggressive diplomacy basically just we want you to go to war with people periodically. I'm pretty sure that's all it is. Oh no, that's just allow for offensive warfare. Okay. Conquest is we want you to actually conquer people. And I think you can technically get that by just conquering a single system. So you can sort of cheese the conquest issue by just taking over a single system periodically against a very weak foe.
Anomalous readings detected.
Yep, go ahead and check it out. That's probably another amusement park or something like that, or maybe alien toy factory. Oh, I guess abandoned toy factory, rather. We are going to go ahead and take over this system, though, over here, just to sort of block their expansion. So once you're done there, go over there and build me a outpost. This is taking you forever, probably because you had so many anomalies that popped up here. We'll get this trade value eventually. I don't know of a good spot really to build another starport. I mean, I could build in Bernard Star, but I don't know if that's really the best spot for it right now. I need to survey some of this stuff over here and figure that out. Because it might be better to build it in Procyon for all I know and just upgrade the crap out of it. Although even Procyon with 2 trade hubs wouldn't get to Arnth. Because 2 trade hubs is only 2 jumps away. Are we getting any piracy? We are. Okay, so a little bit about piracy. As I said before, piracy increases as trade value increases. Higher trade value, piracy increases a lot faster. As it stands right now, as it says, for piracy to hit its max value of 1.5, which should be noted, if max piracy is less than base protection, you lose nothing. You can basically ignore it, except for the fact that eventually piracy will cause a pirate fleet to spawn in a system. But nonetheless, so we have base protection 2 in that system. Max piracy is 1.5. Even if it hits max value, we will lose no trade value whatsoever through that system. Should be noted though, piracy goes down with fleets sitting in that system. You can set a fleet to patrol, but unless it is in that system, piracy will increase. Based off what I can gather. Just because you have a patrol that will eventually go through that system does not mean it is safe. As long as that fleet's not in that system, technically speaking, the fleet isn't safe. That's just the way it works. Or the system isn't safe. So, generally, in my opinion, don't bother with patrols. Just in my opinion. You're better off just building stations. Making sure they can deal with the piracy. Build hangar bays, preferably, if you're trying to combat piracy on a very high trade value route. Because like I said before, hangar bays provide 10 trade protection each. And that's obviously double what the missile platforms and gun batteries provide. Or, excuse me, missile batteries and gun batteries. And again, stations provide their own inherent value. No, I'll just take the free engineering. In fact, actually, if we... Oh, it's not going to let me check here. Yeah, so this starbase itself inherently provides 8 protection in the system it's in. Again, it doesn't protect the neighboring system because it doesn't have any defensive structures right now. So, technically speaking, pirates here, there is piracy in these systems. Well, we have the other faction now, the materialist faction, which I would expect. In my test game, those weren't the first 2 factions I had, surprisingly. I ended up actually with the authoritarian spawning first, which is a little weird to me because, well, none of our ethics are authoritarian. I understand, yes, we are a dictatorial authority, but nonetheless, I don't have the autocratic or authoritarian governing ethics anywhere on here, but somehow they ended up being the first faction to spawn in my most recent test game. This one is being led by our governor, and it's called the Academy of Higher Learning. And they actually gained more of our pops. And yes, no empire that I know of has more than equivalent tech level to me, so they're happy. It's probably part of the reason why as well. A lot of support, damn, 60%. And again, this is an issue with the way the game rounds stuff. Oh. You okay over there, Cam? Again, this is an issue with the way the game rounds stuff. As you can see, it says support 60%. Support 39%. Where's the other 1%? This is not 60%. This is slightly less than... It's slightly more than 60, but less than 61. It's somewhere in there, and the game is rounding it down to 60 for whatever reason. This is basically then presumably somewhere between 38 and 39, probably, and it's being rounded up to 39. So this is probably between 60 and 60.5, and this is probably between 38.5 and 39. Again, you got to be consistent with the rounding, because in this case we're technically losing 1% support somewhere in the void that is Stellaris rounding calculations. Yeah, these guys are going to be able to expand that way, but at least I can block their expansion towards me, which is good enough for me. As long as you don't expand towards me, I'll be nice and happy. Are people working those new farms? Yeah, it looks like somebody decided to move from, I guess, working as a technician to working as a farmer. Or did somebody grow? Oh, no, somebody grew, never mind.
System resources analyzed.
Ooh, okay, Bunker Bot. I had this event before. It was fun. Well, not really. Nothing really happened. So, we have traced the unusual... No, excuse me. We have traced the unusual electromagnetic radiation emanating from Trizios 1 to a secret subterranean bunker hiding a mega computer the size of a battleship. Our researchers suspect that it may have been there for several thousand years. We're hard at work solving a single very complex problem, the nature of which still eludes us. When the crew attempted to interact with the computer, they discovered that the facility, which had appeared both abandoned and unguarded, was in fact operated by a security AI, the highest purpose of which seems to be frying its visitors alive. As the crew defeated the AI, it broadcasted a message to an unknown recipient. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, back to the bunker bot. So we can scrap it for parts, which gives us 100 minerals. That's basically nothing. We can use it to boost our own research, which is what I did in my test game, because that seemed like the logical thing to do. Or we can let it continue its mysterious calculations, which I have absolutely no idea what that'll do. But I want to guess it'll either spawn an empire or spawn a fleet somewhere, one of the two. Which could be good, or it could be bad. Personally, I'm curious to know what happens if we decide to let it continue its mysterious calculations. So, we're going to let it continue its mysterious calculations. I don't really need the tech boost, I'll be honest. If the AI in my test game is anything to go by, it won't be necessary at all, because they will ruin their economy, or they will not have the technology. One of the two, I'm not quite sure which. But, yeah. It's also slightly more likely they'll probably ruin their economy because they'll run out of minerals, which will prevent them from getting alloys and consumer goods, which lack of consumer goods will piss off the pops, which will cause them to not have energy credits to buy minerals or consumer goods or alloys. Yeah, that's the way things tended to work out in my test game when I looked at some of the AI. Some of them did better than others, but nonetheless, they all sort of had crap economies compared to me. Let's let that continue, though, as I was saying before. Oh, good, you finished there. Continue making your way back home, researching these various, or surveying these various systems. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we got 2 free job spots. We have quite a bit of housing space. You guys just don't really give a damn about me. And you supposedly don't know of anybody else, or at the very least, you're not like closing your borders to somebody or declaring somebody a rival. So as far as I know, you don't know of anybody else. And I don't know of anybody else either. Got a nebula over there. Probably pointed that out last episode. Another one over there. Okay. I'm going to go and kick it up too fast. There's not much to talk about right now. Once we get to the mid-game, there'll be a lot more stuff to talk about. I'll probably be sticking on normal for the most part once we get sort of to the mid-game. Once we sort of encounter more people, there's wars and just various other things going on. But right now, there's really nothing going on right now, so yeah. We'll do fast just to kind of let things keep going. Now that would need 3, and that would require me to build either a new station or upgrade you to a starhold, which I don't have the tech for anyway. I actually have quite a few rare crystals over here, relatively speaking. We got 2 up in space. We have an exotic gas there.
Anomalous readings detected.
Sure, go ahead and survey the anomaly. Okay, now, yeah, you're down to pathetic. Were you already pathetic fleet power, or was that inferior as well? I thought that was inferior previously, but I could be remembering incorrectly. We go over there, build that. Then I don't really have anything for you to do right now, because if I try to build in Yerba, it's going to actually cost me more influence than... Well, yeah, it's just going to cost me more influence outright. Plus, that'll give me cohesion problems, potentially. Ooh, okay. Our crew aboard the... I'm not going to try to pronounce that. Report that the... I'm not going to try and pronounce that either. Shipwreck appears to have been the result of an unexpected geomagnetic solar storm. The supply ship suffered a complete loss of life support systems and sustained inoperable damage, drifting until it entered... again, not going to try and pronounce the name of the systems. Gravity well. There are no survivors. The ship's cargo hold does indeed contain a notable amount of minerals. However, the captain of the science ship that shall not be named, there are cautions that the construction indicates Amdirian design. It is highly likely that the minerals belong to the Amdirian Unity, and they may be displeased should we lay claim to their shipment. So, 1. How the hell did they get all the way down there? That's a good question. Probably should have had that be somebody that I haven't met that maybe is like over here, or you know, somebody that just kind of makes more sense for that system. I don't know how difficult it would be to set up something like that, because it just seems weird that they apparently had a supply shipment of some sort all the way down here on the opposite side of my empire, and they're a tiny little thing to the north. I mean, granted, technically our borders are open, so I guess they could have technically gone through there, but then why the hell is it all the way down there nonetheless? Still a little weird. So, these guys are, let's see, they're wary of us right now because of border friction. That's okay, we can deal with that. In fact, it would actually be possible for you to demand vassalization with these guys if I give them their minerals, and, well, no, maybe not, actually. They're not quite interested in a non-aggression pact. It might require a little bit extra work, but it's possible. I could, if I really wanted to, potentially turn these guys into a vassal. 300 minerals to displease them, or we don't want to risk an altercation and gain some influence, along with improve relations with them. We'll go with we will not risk an altercation. Influence is very useful. A little more so than minerals, in my opinion. Specifically only 300 minerals up front. Yeah, it's not really much to write home about. So, is this Savannah world going to be terrible or no? Because it's a size 23, and I like the idea of taking a size 23 Savannah world. Admittedly, we don't do particularly great with Savannah worlds, if I recall correctly. Yeah, no, they're all the way down to a plus 20. as a result of our preference, although we do gain another plus 20 as a result of extremely adaptive. Humans, we have received word of our downed supply ship's cargo. We would like to extend our gratitude to you for taking the time to recover it without the need for Amdirian intervention. Our pleasure, Amdirians. So now they like us. Woohoo. Well, they like us a little bit more. Again, the border friction is still a bit of a problem. There's nothing I can do about that beyond a non-aggression pact that I believe would clear out. That would make it so that border friction is not an opinion malice at all. If I'm recalling correctly, at least. Do want to upgrade my fleet some more, though. Actually, have I gotten you guys better equipment at all? I really don't know. Oh yes, I think I got you better reactors, but I don't really need them right now. They're just kind of there.
System resources analyzed.
Yep, go ahead, continue that. Once you're done there, though, go to Ambor. I think I'm actually going to build another science ship. I tend to try and run around with 3. And we have the resources, so why not? This guy's taking forever to get back home. Understandably so, though. It's kind of my fault. I could just tell him to come back home, and we can survey this stuff later. But I'm not doing that. Okay, we have... Okay, we're going to get some extra engineering from here because of an alien drag race. This is also an old event. I've seen it a couple of times, both in test games and I think in an LP. Also, game, you said +6, didn't you? I only got +3 here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it said I was getting +6. So, the game just lied to me. Go survey that. Maybe we'll find a good-sized continental world. I kind of doubt it. So 40 habitability means 60 amenity and upkeep for pops. Ooh, isolated valley. Means an alien zoo. Ooh, I've never had those. At least in this update, I've never had an alien zoo. And a lot of generator districts. Potentially, at least. 7, although some of them are blocked right now, so you actually have more than 7. You actually have, what is that, 13 potentially? Yeah, 13 potential generator districts. It's a lot of generator districts.
Scientific progress attained.
Okay, that's the engineering research. Let's go ahead and upgrade our... I'm not really using the coil guns, though, am I, right now? Well, you are, actually, yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and upgrade the coil guns. Or our kinetic weapons. Nothing there. Maybe we'll find a nice system here. Maybe? Or a planet, rather. Not a system. Alien mural. Okay, we'll translate that eventually. If I wanted to do it right now, it would... Oh wait, never mind. I'm thinking of a different event. Go do that. I was thinking of translating alien text or whatever it's called. That one requires... That one's like these investigate things.
System resources analyzed.
Wonderful. That didn't take very long. Because there's basically nothing in that system that would explain everything. Is there a lot of stuff in the system? Decent amount of stuff, yeah. It's going to take a little while. There's very little I can do with these guys. Because they're a hive mind. They're not exactly keen on pretty much anything I could demand or ask of them. I could demand tribute or vassalization, which would give me a casus belli against them. No real reason for me to do that, though. One, because we're not quite prepared. We wouldn't be able to really do anything beyond maybe take an outpost. But in that case, I would be better off declaring a conquest war so I can actually take it. Has managed to partially translate the alien mural discovered on Shire 1. It is a memorial for an extinct alien race that once maintained a small interstellar empire in this region of the galaxy. They were apparently exterminated by the creators of the mural, a fact that they seem to regret. Given that the mural has been dated to be in excess of 300 million years old, it is likely that its creators are also extinct by now. Perhaps most interesting of all is the material that the mural was made of. Despite its age, it is in remarkably good condition. Ooh, that's quite a bit of trade value up there. Might need to build another station up that way in the future. Ooh, nice sized tropical world here. Lots of farmland. Dust deserts apparently on a tropical world, because, okay. So, moat harvesting traps. Those are useful. This I would probably turn into an agricultural world, to be honest. I would definitely build the moat harvesting traps. But, yeah. Let's see. We got our choices here. Interstellar Dominion is very useful, potentially. Both for just general building and also for claiming in the future. However, Technological Ascendancy also has its uses for the tech speed bonus, which could be useful in getting some of these techs out faster so we have an advantage. But the AI isn't always the greatest at research anyway, so I probably don't really need that at the end of the day. So for our first one, we're going to go for Interstellar Dominion. Makes claiming stuff cheaper, and building star bases and systems is also a little bit cheaper. So that's down to 82. I also should probably mark these as no-goes, as restricted systems, just to make sure people don't try and fly through them.
Resources analyzed.
Wonderful. You go up here, because this one's going to take a while. Actually, you know what? No, go to Procyon. This is a nice system. I might be taking it as my first colony. We're getting 80 there. I assume that's because we have a 60 base for tropical worlds. Is that correct? Yeah, that's why. Yeah, these guys already have 3 colonies. They live on tundra worlds as their go-to. Also, this is not using the... This is a case where I would really love it if they had like a unique portrait set for hive minds for at least this view here.
System resources analyzed.
Because, yeah, that's using the mammalian city look, which it just doesn't really fit, in my opinion, with a hive mind. It just looks very out of place. Hive minds, I think, would really benefit from having a unique ship set and city scape, I guess would be the term. Although I understand that the ship sets is a case of it's expensive. Size 19, that's okay. Also, because we're materialists, we don't have a problem with sighting comets. In fact, they generally mean absolutely nothing. We don't even get a bonus for it. So Cirrus 3 might be a decent system. It's size 19. It's continental, so we already like it. We have a base habitability of 80% there, plus 20% as a result of extremely adaptive. Cirrus 3 might end up being our first colony, actually, rather than Silu 3 or Slilu 2.
Anomalous readings detected.
Oh, that'll take you forever. Let's not do that.
Anomalous readings detected.
That won't take you forever. That's a couple of months. And it's a reasonable number of couple of months. Well, relatively speaking, at least. You guys meet anybody yet? Nope. At least not as far as I can evidently see. If Series 3 ends up being our first colony, that's probably where I would build my other starport, though. And slap 2 trade hubs on it. Yeah, that's probably what I would have to do. Oh, and there's the timer. I'll let this month tick by. Okay, so that's going to be it for this part. I'll see you all in the next one. Quick reminder, I do have Patreon, link that down in the description if you enjoy the content on the channel. It helps the channel out. Also, if you want to have a leader named after you, I have a link down in the description to a Google form. Feel free to go and fill it out, and you can have a leader named after you. Governor, scientist, admiral, or general. And again, because they removed the leader cap that was in-game prior to 2.2, you're not going to have to worry about a selection like general going to waste, because generally general would have been a waste prior to 2.2. Now there's literally no reason for me not to have a general unless I just can't afford a general, which is a possibility, but generally not an issue. So yeah, link in the description to that if you want to have a leader named after you. But like I said, that'll be it for this part. I will see you all in the next one, but until then, goodbye and farewell.